Have you ever wondered what really makes you, well, you? Is it the genetic blueprint you were handed at birth, or is it the story that's been written by every single one of your life experiences? Today, we're jumping right into that classic, fascinating debate, nature versus nurture. I mean, it all boils down to this one single, powerful question, doesn't it? Are you born a certain way, with your personality and your talents kind of locked in, or are you a product of how you were raised, the people you've met, and the world you live in? People have been wrestling with this for centuries, and trust me, the answer is way more interesting than you might think. Okay, so let's get our terms straight before we really dive in. On one side, you've got nature. That's the idea that our genes are in the driver's seat. On the other side, you've got nurture, the belief that our environment and our experiences are what truly shape us. We're going to look at both sides of the coin and then see how they come together in a really surprising way. All right, first up, let's make the case for nature. This whole perspective is built on the idea that a huge part of who we are is guided by this internal biological program that we get from our parents. It's our genetic inheritance. So, a psychologist named Arnold Gassell came up with this idea called maturation theory. He basically said that we all develop in a predictable order, not because we're taught to, but because our bodies and brains mature on a preset schedule. Think about a baby. They learn to sit up, then they crawl, and then they walk, almost always in that order, no matter where they are in the world. Gassell said, "See, that's the biological timetable right there." And this programming, it starts way, way before we're even born. I mean, look at how the brain is built. It starts as a simple fertilized egg, then it forms the neural tube, which becomes the brain and spinal cord, and then bam, this incredible explosion where billions of neurons are made and start connecting. It's nature's programming in its absolute purest form. But maybe the most powerful piece of evidence for nature comes from this absolutely landmark study by Thomas Bouchard. It's just a fascinating setup. He asked, what happens if you take two people with the exact same DNA, the same genetic blueprint, but raise them in totally different worlds? And the results were, well, they were stunning. Even though these identical twins grew up in different families, with different friends, different schools, different everything, they had these unbelievable similarities. Their intelligence levels, personality traits, weird little habits, even the jobs they chose, so much was alike. This was a huge point for Team Nature, suggesting our genes play a massive, massive role in who we turn out to be. But of course, that's not the whole picture, right? It can't be. So let's flip the script and move over to the other side. Let's talk about how our environment, nurture, gets to write the story of our lives. A huge piece of the nurture argument is John Bowlby's attachment theory. He said that the bond we form with our parents or caregivers isn't just nice. It's a fundamental biological need. The quality of that very first relationship literally shapes our brain, teaches us what to expect from other people, and builds the foundation for our self-worth for the rest of our lives. And this whole attachment thing, it's not random. It happens in these clear, predictable stages that are based entirely on our interactions. A baby goes from being okay with anyone comforting them to really preferring one special person, to actively freaking out when that person leaves the room. That whole journey is carved out by experience. And it goes way beyond our first relationships. I mean, our environment is constantly teaching us how to act. You've probably heard of Pavlov's dogs, right? That's classical conditioning, learning by association. But then you also have operant conditioning from B.F. Skinner, which is all about learning from consequences. We do things that get rewarded, and we stop doing things that get punished. This is how we learn everything, from social rules to personal habits. Okay, so we've got a super powerful genetic blueprint on one side, and this incredibly powerful shaping hand from our environment on the other. So, which one wins? Well, modern psychology has an answer that might just surprise you. This is the big reveal. And here it is. The big secret is, it was never a battle. It's not nature versus nurture. It has always been nature and nurture. They aren't fighting for control over you. Instead, they're locked in this complex, beautiful, and lifelong dance. This brings us to how scientists really see it today, and they call it gene-environment interaction. Here's how to think about it. Your genes might hand you the blueprint for being a skyscraper, say a gifted musician. But if you never get access to an instrument or a teacher, if the environment doesn't provide the materials, that skyscraper might never get built. The genes provide the potential, but the environment decides if that potential ever sees the light of day.
And if that wasn't mind-blowing enough, get this. There's a whole field called epigenetics. It shows that our experiences can actually leave chemical marks on our DNA that act like little light switches. They can turn certain genes on or turn them off. So things like your diet, your stress levels, even feeling loved can literally change which parts of your genetic blueprint are being read. Your life story can actually edit how your blueprint is used.
Okay, so all this theory is cool, but let's see this dance in action with a real-world example. Let's talk about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD.
Now, research is super clear that ADHD has a massive genetic component. You can see it right here. It accounts for about 75% of the risk. But look closer. It's not 100%. That other slice of the pie includes environmental factors. Things like high stress during pregnancy or other early life challenges can play a role in whether those genes for ADHD get switched on and how strong the symptoms are. It's the perfect example of a genetic predisposition meeting the real world.
So, after all this science and all these theories, what's the bottom line? Why does understanding this dance between nature and nurture actually matter in our everyday lives? This is the big takeaway, and honestly, it's incredibly hopeful. It means our genes are not our destiny. As parents, as teachers, as friends, we have immense power. By creating environments that are supportive, stimulating, and loving, we can literally help unlock a person's fullest potential. The warmth you show a child doesn't just feel good, it can actively shape their brain at a biological level. The blueprint is important for sure, but we are the ones who write the story. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Your genetic blueprint, that's set. It's your unique foundation. But every single day, with every experience you have and every choice you make, your story is being written on top of it. So the only real question left is, what's the next chapter going to look like?